Other issues too, and so this one rolls on. The slow-motion train wreck that is Australia's energy policy just gets worse. Today, the energy market operator warned that blackouts were likely this summer because we can't rely on intermittent weather-dependent power to keep the lights on. Yet because of the Albanese government's emissions obsession, that's precisely what Australia is stuck with. An effective moratorium on new gas and coal projects and a complete reliance on wind and solar with battery backup, even though that can't run a modern industrial economy on a grid that's held together with the equivalent of Band-Aids and super glue. Even if it were worth doing, which it's not, because it's a recipe for economic disaster, the so-called transition that this government's so fixated upon, well, it simply isn't happening. We're still reliant on coal for 60% of our total power. And at different times in the course of any 24-hour period, often 100% reliant on coal, because coal is cheaper than gas and it's available 24/7. We're still reliant on coal for 60% of our total power. As I said, this is madness. We're subsidising wind and solar to reduce emissions. We're subsidising coal to keep the lights on. We're subsidising consumers because Australia's electricity prices have gone through the roof. I mean, where's the money coming from? If this whole subsidy merry-go-round had never started in the first place, we would still have cheap, reliable power. And in the normal course of events, unsubsidised power companies would have upgraded Australia's coal-fired power stations to reduce emissions by some 40%. Because that's how much better the new coal-fired power stations are compared to the old ones we currently have. Instead, we've got Labor's fanciful claim that renewables are cheap because wind and solar are free. Well, ask yourself this. Are you paying more for your power bill now than you were 5 years ago? Of course you are. As well as being hit as a consumer, you're also being hit as a taxpayer. Snowy 2.0, well, that was supposed to cost $2 billion. Be done and finished in 5 years. Well, it's now costing us at least $12 billion, and it will take 12 years if it ever happens.
I don't think Snowy 2 will ever generate a megawatt of power.
Excuse me?
I don't think it will ever generate power. That's my personal view. And by the way, recently I was at a conference and I discussed with a number of energy experts, and I wasn't alone in that assessment.
Every new power project, except for rooftop solar, is subject to delay due to farmer protests in the case of new transmission lines and large-scale solar, conservation protests in the case of new wind turbines in pristine bush and along our coastline, and green lawfare in the courts in the case of new gas fields. We are a fossil fuel energy superpower. We're not a renewable energy superpower, and because we will never have as much wind or solar as everybody else. I mean, everyone can claim wind and solar, but not anyone, no one other than Australia can claim the coal, the gas and the uranium in the volumes we have here in Australia. Now, I know you get it. Our problem is the government does not.